this might be everyone. We have a full house today. I might be missing somebody. I think I was counting 7. Um, Either way, let's get it started. Welcome everybody to the 6th edition of our Agents Unplugged, your bi-weekly AI and AI agent deep dive all the way into the deep abyss of what is happening in the space. Bullish as always. A lot of things are happening, and today is a bit of a special day because we have a huge lineup of speakers. So my name is Yannick. I am the founder and CEO of Swarm Network, and I'm not going to talk too much about Swarm, and I would suggest everybody that is about to do introductions to just take between 20 and 30 seconds to introduce yourself and your project very briefly. So I will start. Swarm Network, multi-agent collaboration framework, and the truth protocol that allows arbitrary data to be brought on chain, verified in a grandiose manner, and then be used by our agents. We have a no-code tool that allows you to prompt agents up to 100 in a cluster, then add them to a swarm and launch a unique asset for that swarm. That is about me. I will pass it on to my fellow co-host first, Marco from Oasis. As always, very pleased to have you, Marco. But for the guys that are new here, let's just do a quick intro.
Yeah, pleasure to be here again. And seems like your beef with Twitter is over. I did my post actually 2 weeks ago, so we're not done. But yeah, I'm glad staying in the meetings and not being kicked out. To be fair, it is from the Swarm account, so I'm not sure if your personal one is fine with the algorithm. I'm Marco. I'm head of AI at Oasis, so everyone listening in should by now know Oasis rather well. We have built a privacy-focused L1, and currently we're working 24/7 pretty much on a T cloud, so meaning any application that you have, and this is of course also agents, can be hosted in a trusted execution environment, and through this you get some guarantees to hopefully achieve trustless agents.
Cool, thank you very much. What about, let's pass it on to Chris. I guess Chris is joining us from the Apollo AI account, or Columbus. Oh no, that's, yeah, here, there you go. Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, hey guys, how's it going? I'm Chris. I'm on the core team for PAL AI. I'm sure everyone's heard of PAL. We're a cutting-edge platform that integrates advanced artificial intelligence to enhance interactions for both businesses and individuals. We offer a large range of services. You know, we have PAL as a service, customizable AI bots, tools for crypto research analysis, and in real life tools for, whatever field. We do things like data visualization, revenue sharing through staking, secure data handling, and we also have been focusing a lot in AI agents as well as AI trading bots and stuff like that recently. So I will pass it on to, I guess, ChainGPT.
Hey guys, GM. I hope you can hear me. You never know with X. So I'm Sharon, broadcasting from Amsterdam, CMO at ChainGPT. Really briefly, we have 3 verticals. AI company, we're developing AI application based on blockchain technology. We have 2 launchpads, I'll say very successful one, if I may, and an investment arm. Happy to be here and share some insights and learn from the other colleagues. Who's next?
Yes, let's pass it on to Freddie.
Yo, Jim, thanks for having me. Thanks, Marco, for inviting. We're a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I'm the co-founder of Nuvolari AI. This is the tool that we made to optimize our portfolio. Basically, after many years in the trenches and building product, we decided that was suboptimal to manually rebalance and go through, scatter, balance here and there, manage perps on Hyperliquid, and go on a spreadsheet to journal. So yeah, we just decided we couldn't find anything on the market, and with my co-founder, Mark, we basically built it. So we are an intersection of crypto and productivity apps, basically. So you go on Nuvolari and you optimize everything for your portfolio and reclaim time over no meaningful blockchain activities. So you can actually have fun on a Sunday night instead of checking your Excel spreadsheet.
Awesome. And then we have two other speakers, Thomas and Paulius, both joining in from the Whitebridge account. Guys, go ahead, introduce yourselves.
Good morning, guys. Happy to be here, and yeah, I'll pass to Thomas to tell a bit more about us.
Hey, have you ever thought, guys, who owns your data? So if you would think for a moment, then you would understand what we're building. So we're building AI agents to protect your digital reputation. So that's in short.
Awesome. Cool. Just a little note for everybody joining the space today. As we have more speakers than usual, I would recommend everybody to use the raise your hand thingy when you want to speak. I can see, I can moderate better that way. We're gonna go over a few predefined topics, and if you wanna join in, then just raise your hand like I did just now. So thanks for the introduction, guys. We already have 660 people tuned in right at this moment, which is great. So let's just get right into it and kick it off with our first kind of like discovery question, which is what is the most exciting thing in the AI agent space over the past few weeks that either you have done or you have seen somebody do, or yeah, maybe, you know, like one of your friends or one of your colleagues or somebody that, you know, just happened to be on your timeline. Anything will do. Yeah, go ahead, Chris. You can go first.
Awesome. So yeah, for those who don't follow PAL and aren't directly in our community, the most exciting development in the space recently for us is the launch of our SwingX AI trading agent. So it's a fully autonomous agent that intelligently tracks market trends and executes high probability trades across a diversified portfolio of 16 blue chip assets right now. So it adapts in real time to maximize gains in any market cycle, whether it's a bull or a bear market. So SwingX can place both long and short positions, and it analyzes new trade opportunities and existing open positions every 2 hours. Even if you manually close a position, SwingX will continue to monitor the market for trading opportunities. If you open a new position, it might close it early for you. And the subscription for our SwingX is over 80% off right now. It's $50 a month. And I would say the conservative guarantee that we have from our back testing is 100% APY for a full year. And that's whether it's bull or bear market. And I do have a pinned tweet right now that shows the back testing. So you can go try out the back testing yourself. You can enter what amount you would put in and at what time you would have put it in. And you can see the results that you would have had if you had been using our SwingX AI trading agent. So we've actually had, so that was a conservative estimate, right? We've had more bullish estimates that show like 1,500% APY for a full year. And that will be, you know, over 100% monthly, but depending on the market, really what happens is it doesn't make it every month necessarily. It wouldn't make that 100%, but we might have, you know, 5 bullish months where it makes a ton of money, and then, you know, 2 kind of sideways months where it just holds on to your assets and makes a few shorts and longs, and then really maxes things out when it sees a short market or like a bear market. So you can, like I said, click on my profile and feel free to join our chat or do the back testing or click on the agent on the website and just get straight to it. There's a YouTube video that I have in the post as well. Other than that, we've also been expanding into Web 2. So we have 49 sales people. We call them agents, but they are real life people, and they're working with us with IBM to sell PAL solutions to in real life Web 2 companies. And you can see on my wall that just a few days ago we got a contract for 200,000 US dollars, and somebody deposited 197,000 USDT, and that was through our IBM partnership, where we have these 49 people working to sell our AI solutions to Web 2 companies, because, you know, we all know AI is expanding really quickly and it's scaling, and, you know, we like to think of ourselves as like the open AI for crypto and for the real world that people can actually access and say, hey, could you build this custom solution for us? And we're able to execute that and give them a fair quote. So we have right now, just for people to look into, we have our My Memes platform, we have PalX, and we also have Gambit Markets, which has a sports betting AI agent that has over 20 years of data for every sport you could imagine, and it will actually give you like a solid 8 out of 10 win rate, whether you're betting on single matches or parlays. So that's an awesome platform that we built from scratch, and a lot of people are coming over from Rollbit and other platforms, and they're making a killing using our agent to actually beat the books and beat the bookies and place these sport bets. So that's enough said from me for now. So I'll pass the mic on to someone else.
Damn, that's super impressive. I quickly checked it out. Can you maybe elaborate on the autonomous part? We have trading agents actually on here regularly. We talk about it a lot, but there's two main things generally in the discussion. Like, first, where does the intelligence come from? Like, obviously it's not going to be LLMs. And the second one is, how autonomous is it really? And I saw in your post you're saying fully autonomous, so it would be great to hear how you achieved this.
Yeah, so it is 100% fully autonomous. Each person who subscribes has their own AI agent on Hyperliquid, and right now it's live on Hyperliquid. We will have Bybit and Binance soon, but so, for example, if you get an AI agent and I have one, it won't be placing the same longs and shorts. Both agents will be placing different longs and different shorts. And right now we do power it through GPT-4o. We find that's the best model to use. There are other models, like, we're model agnostic. We can plug in any model that we want, and we've tried all the other ones. And GPT-4o is by far giving us, you know, the most consistent and best results, I would say. So it is fully autonomous, and we will have, you know, like vaults, like you can have a vault on Hyperliquid live that other people could deposit to for free, and eventually that'll come along, and that will be one bot that's trading with all the assets in the vault. But each different AI agent that somebody subscribes to right now is capable of its own thoughts and its own trades, whether they're long or short. You could open up a new position, and you know, the agent might look at that position and say, okay, I think that this is going to go down, and close that position for you. So it is fully autonomous, and this is something we've been working on for, you know, like a year and a half now. And we did have a model that we released last summer that was on Solana trading meme coins and stuff, but we had the problem that a lot of meme coins were rugging and whatnot. So we've made this to be, first of all, it has 16 tokens, which you can see in my pin post. So it will long and short positions on all these tokens. Just for an example, I put $450 on March 26th into my trading bot, and it has already done $30,000 in volume. It's not up that much, to be perfectly honest. You know, it's up $5 right now, but we have had a very back and forth market, you know. So for it to do that much volume and not lose any money is pretty impressive, I would say. And I have the aggressiveness set to 100. We have different aggressiveness levels, so if you want it to be more conservative and safer with your money, you can set it to 5% or 10% instead of 100%. But yeah, it is completely autonomous, and we're going to have updates soon that you'll be able to change those assets. So instead of it just being the 16 assets in my pin post, you could change the basket to have just 8 assets, or you could do, you know, just Bitcoin and ETH. And basically anything on Hyperliquid, you'll be able to add to your agent to have it trading with those assets. And we do have more trading models coming out. You know, we will have specific long ones and specific short models. But like I said, SwingX does both longs and short. It's cross margin. And I see the most at, 10, 20x. And like I said, for $30,000 worth of volume in 5 days, it hasn't made a fortune, because obviously the market's choppy. Once we find a bullish market or a bearish market, that's when it can really get some consistent shorts and longs in, and then, keep those positions coming, like keep on shorting, knowing the market's going to go down. But right now the agent is obviously having a tough time because we have all these tariff announcements, and the market's just bouncing all over the place. So it's having a tough time catching a firm trend. So I'll see it placing, 5 or 6 open shorts and longs at the same time as it reads all the different tokens that are in that 16 asset basket. And it's really trying to, like I said, find a trend. And we have the back testing, so you can go and actually plug this in for free and try it out and see what your model would have made if you had it live from January to March, for example. And you can also tell that it's much better than buy and hold. So if you had a buy and hold that did 30%, our agent would have done 100%, for example, or it might have lost 30%, and we would have kept that at 0%, so you wouldn't have lost anything in those times. So we have this as a proven model, and it's just our V1, so it's going to get a lot better than this.
Very cool. I mean, I have tons of questions, but I'll just have to do some research. I think what's even more difficult to achieve with these trading agents is actually the voiding trading fees. I mean, those really eat you up. So the agent with this little starting capital not being in the minus is already impressive. Like generally, I think the last time I checked on Hyperliquid, you need to get to like 25 million trading volume to reduce the fees to not bother you too much, and that's not that easily achieved even with high frequency trading. But yeah, I think we have tons of other topics too.
Yeah, definitely. So I will get back to the question, like, what is the most exciting development in the agent space over the past few weeks that you've seen? Maybe somebody else wants to pick up this question and enlighten us with some awesomeness. Nobody, guys. Marco, not even you.
Yeah, I can.
I was just waiting for someone else.
Yeah, you asked for raise the hand, and I don't know. Took me a while. Anyway, I can go next. I want to talk on a bigger scope. What's happening in the market? Not just Web3
go
and
ahead.
Crypto people, but there is bigger shifts that happened last week. I don't know if you know, Gemini 2.5 just released last week, and it's really good, by the way, if you didn't try it. But I think the biggest change that they have 1 million token in history context, which is insane. And this is really big for AI agents, because it's all about when there is reasoning, you need to understand what happened, the whole flow, right? And they're going to expand it to 2 million, which is really going to change the whole market. Who's going to lead, which LLMs we're going to use, and building AI agents in general. So as mentioned before, using ChatGPT 4.5, I think we will see a shift into new models that are more suitable for AI agents. And that's a huge difference, right? The second thing happened also last week is Amazon. They released their new SDK for AI agents. And I think what's really interesting is their vision. And their vision first is an SDK, so everybody can develop. And it's oriented towards consumer use. So for example, using Alexa, you can just ask Alexa to buy stuff. And it will just automate the whole process, end to end. And I think this is setting up the vision, what can also happen in crypto, right? So those more SDKs, more secure protocols, consumer-oriented, not just bots, more sophisticated, more democratized. So I think those two shifts in the context, right, generating more reasoning, more autonomous agents. That's one. And the second, Amazon is just sharing like what's going to be the near future. It's already happening for consumer use. And I think it's also going to reflect crypto, because in the end, we are using Web2 technology, and we are very influenced from Web2. So that's my take.
Yeah, I love that take. And you know what is really important to note here is that, like people like to make a distinction between Web3 and Web2 agents, but actually all agents, as a matter of fact, are Web2 products that just have an extension into Web3, right?
Exactly.
You can just think of it as, okay, like eventually like every single client on Web3 or whatever, somebody that wraps a smart contract into some kind of like logic that is accessible either through API or just straight through the smart contract, you could probably package that up into an MCP, and it becomes an extension point in the action space for these agents. And indeed, Gemini 2.5 Pro, we got a grant for Swarm Network from Google. We got a few $100,000 worth of credits, and we've been generously spending on that on the Gemini 2.5 Pro experimental version and so on. And we could already see like really the sheer speed of the models that Google has produced. It's just like, you cannot compare it to other models. And then now also it hitting like crazy benchmarks, like even the GPQA Diamond, it's outperforming most of the reasoning models, except for Claude, I believe. And then like IMA 2024, even the live code bench, it's doing very well. It's outperforming DeepSeek. I don't think it's outperforming OpenAI and Grok Beta, but yeah, at least like some of the benchmarks are just really great, and then also just the speed of these models are immense. And yeah, it's also a large multimodal context, Indeed, like you said, it ships with 1 million token context windows, soon expanding to 2 million. So that means it's able to like handle massive inputs spanning from text, audio, images, and videos. You can start to like transcribe like video content, and you can even parse large video files directly through the model because it's multimodal, and the context window is just so huge, right? So just the capabilities of what is going to be possible using these models is like on the horizon of like kind of exploding. But obviously I have also my arguments here against Gemini and the Google models, as they are relatively biased, and I mean, like, we find it sometimes hard to get them to do what we want, especially when we're trying to verify information, and it's like it's kind of like boxed in compared to the other models. Marco, I see you have your hand up, like you want to pitch in. Let's go.
I was just thinking, when Thomas and Paulius should be screaming in their office now, because you guys mentioned earlier on, like, hey, who owns your data? And now we're talking about Amazon providing an SDK, context windows increased from Google, and it's just like, yes, all this potential is on the horizon, but at the same time, there's always also this massive privacy invasion, where we're just giving up more and more data to these big companies, and there's no better solution currently out there, and it's still crazy.
Oh yes, before I pass it on to the boys at Whitebridge, the recent explosion of GPT-4o, the image model, where I see people like updating people posting their passports and like this kind of shit to create fake documents. I just saw a whole thread on like some idiot is uploading his passport image and then asking it to create visa images, and it was just displaying his personal information. I was like, yo, bro, don't do this, please. Go ahead, guys. I will pass it on to you.
I just wanted to quickly say another model that people really aren't aware of yet is IBM Watson X. So if you guys want to look into that and the pricing for that and plugging it in, they're really working on that, and it's progressing amazingly. And we've also tested out DeepSeek, and since we are model agnostic, we've also looked into like some of these decentralized AI models. Like you have some open source decentralized models, but they're just not really on the same level quite yet, I would say, as the centralized AI models. But like you pointed out, Gemini and other models like that, they will not answer certain questions, right? Because they aren't allowed to. It's not in their code to be able to. And the open source decentralized models, you can just ask them anything. So it's a completely wild contrast trying out one of those models compared to these centralized models that everyone's using.
From our side, so of course, there are a lot of other projects who are building, I think, really good infrastructure to separate what data is private and what data is public, like, Million, Havana. From our side, if you just think for a moment, like Bubble Maps gives you like a view on what's happening in your wallet, but think about digital you, like you're using, I don't know, WhatsApp, like probably on your phone there are like 100 of apps. Here, if you would look in the x.com, like some of you using pictures, some of them not pictures, somebody have their stolen identity. But none of us even considering how we manage that data, which is like spread all around everywhere. And that if you would think how many data breaches are happening every single day, so you don't even aware if some app which you downloaded, I don't know, like 6 months ago, data was breached and your password and email is exposed. So we think, and what we're building, that this area will become extremely big, extremely, because the people finally will understand that their data is the biggest oil for the AI to learn about people. And, we thought that it's easy, but honestly, then there is like tens of people with the name six with the same name surname for current AI LLMs to separate who is who. They're not capable at the moment. I mean, I don't know based on how they're constructed how long it will take them to separate, because now they are giving like blended average of Thomas Martunas, like or Paulus, and like they're gonna tell that it's developer and CEO, and they're gonna mix all the hobbies, and because it hallucinates, it gives you hallucinations as an output. So we need to fix the data, and by doing that, we need to think how to do it in a decentralized way, so that the small communities in each country would be managing those data points or data access points, APIs, so we will not ending up in like 4 or 5 companies' hands, like passing all our data.
Yeah. There's this podcast, the Sean Ryan Show, and he has a guy on. This guy is named, I believe it's Ryan Montgomery. He's the number one. Well, I don't know if he's the number one, but he proclaims to be the number one ethical hacker who does like a bunch of stuff among like he hunts like child predators, and he actually catches like one live on the podcast. But what he also does is that he reveals some metrics, and I don't know how well grounded those metrics are or where he gets them from, but he created this application that essentially connects or is able to perform search on the deep web through like a bunch of databases that have been leaked. I don't know if they actually go out and buy those databases and so on, but he literally whips out his laptop during the show and he shows Sean Ryan his personal information, which is just readily available online. It includes, I believe, his home address. I believe, his password. It includes, I believe, the address of the place that they are currently or at that moment filming the podcast, and he's just like blown away by it. But that is a very real thing, and like we've spoken about this previously, especially with Marco. It's like like people don't care until they either are opened up to the almost guaranteed fact that their data is living somewhere on the dark web, and some predator eventually might have their data and do something with it. And these risks are becoming increasingly, like more real, right? Because now all of a sudden I can train a model using a few of your pictures, and I can make it look, sound, and act like you. I can I can SIM swap you. I can set up a video call with your parents, and I can get them to essentially like empty their bank account because, like whatever I'm saying, I'm having this version of you saying that I'm being held hostage while I'm on holiday in Thailand or some shit like that, right? Like these things, they sound super crazy. They sound like they're from a movie, but these things are very, 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 very possible right now. And it's even more simple than that. Like you can just voice clone somebody, and you have now all of these gaming applications that allow you to use AI to clone a voice and use that voice. It's like a voice altering thingy that you can just use while you're gaming online and so on. So like these, this is a real issue. And then the second thing is that they actually not just are aware or made aware of the fact that these are issues, but they actually experience something like in real life where their data has been leaked or something like that, And why is data really important to be kept private and to be kept secure? I'll give you an example. I just received an email from X on my personal account, my personal email address. Supposedly it was from X, and it was about the Swarm network account. And it said that we had violated some kind of like privacy policy, and it gave me like a case number and so on. And I obviously didn't click on it because actually my personal account is not, that email address is not the email address that's connected to this account. This account has an email attached to it that nobody knows, and it's like not obvious, and it's not accessible to neither me or anybody within the team because we've experienced hacks before. But to the naked eye, to like the unknowing and maybe relatively ignorant person, that email looks super legit, and you're like, oh shit, I don't want my account to be banned or like get into issues because like these like copyright infringement things, especially for example on YouTube, they hit pretty hard, like they can just like kick you off the platform. This person is going to click on it, they're going to log into their email, they're going to use their email to log into, which looks like a clone of Twitter, and then they not just lose access to their email address, but they give away, probably pretty voluntarily, the password that they use everywhere else. And with that, like good luck, like stuff can happen. And until that happens to you, you realize like, oh shit, like even my email address shouldn't be out there because I become a target, right? Like you become a target for real, which is a huge issue. So yeah, speaking about that, indeed, big problems. Maybe Freddie, we haven't heard you, man. Maybe you could take it on.
Yeah, him here. I know I've been listening a lot. I mean, privacy is definitely one of the field I'm more passionate about. Just for from a personal productivity standpoint, I try my best to stay private. Back in the days, there were a few apps before this whole AI madness went viral to stay private. We had first the password managers that were completely offline. Then we had the VPN mania to give less data to the VPN provider. I mean, there was a huge scandal of NordVPN and so on and so forth. So encrypto is definitely one of the things I am most conscious about. Was one of the reasons why I actually joined the space in the first place, after having a few problems with banking and so on and so forth. What I noticed, I mean, just to broaden my spectrum on the privacy side of thing, is really interesting to see how retail is reacting to this whole AI agent madness. Because it's true that generally Web3 and Web2 things have been a bit of a silo. We had crypto stuff and the rest of the world that was doing SaaS on the opposite side. And for the first time, I see this sort of major interaction with developers that were in Web2 can finally hop in Web3, but with use cases that generally are not biased by, if you allow me to bring a random bullshit application that sometimes we tend to see in crypto. I'm not saying necessarily bad, but very narrow use case. So I see retail really, questioning in a different way with different tech stack, which are the problem that they might face. We might consider them silly. It could also be just a better UI, but all in all is more things coming into the space. Just very broad scenario, but vibe coding. I know I'm gonna raise one thing that Marco loves, and we had a few chat about that, and I'm a big enjoyer of that. But I'm not an enjoyer because I like this idea of having very niche apps and software. But that's a bit of behind the core philosophy of crypto. Having, of course, massively accessible application, but also having very narrow use case apps. And that's possible only if people and retail have access to extremely powerful tools that allow them to develop in a more streamlined way, something that no one else would have took care of doing. Just for the purpose of the conversation, I 99% of the time work on Nuvolari, but free time I made Tinder for Dune Analytics, just because I don't like scrolling to Dune, so I just make a better UI for Dune Analytics, because I don't like it, it's too cluttered. So I just select my preferences, and I have the dashboard I want to check. I want to check Mega Eat, boom, I have that. Very narrow use case. That's another topic that we tackled with Mark when we started building Nuvolari, and I don't want to turn into a shilling of Nuvolari. I'm just trying to broaden the scope of my speech and cut me off if it gets too long. But was AI in general is really creating this sort of modular approach to software. You can really go live very quickly with one product that is a component of your bigger tech stack, fully fledged. You raise 10 million, you want to do something crazy, but with the first 50K, you can do something else, okay? You can narrow down the case and get feedback from that. That's what we did with Nuvolari. So we started with a bookmark manager, because I hate going through my bookmark. I never open them up. I forget about them. So I make a tool that connects the bookmark and summarize my Twitter bookmark, but derives strategies that I can execute on Nuvolari. So I can click and execute directly the yield strategies on, Sonic, or I'm a big Hyperliquid enjoyer for the past year and a half. I can do, whatever on HyperAVM directly from there. Now is accessible, access code, whatever, end of the show. But this is just an approach of, modular product. Then we're gonna move on LP notifications, because I don't like checking LP auto print. This is possible because AI is really streamlining the code base, and the retail can give you a feedback very, very fast. And I know we started from privacy. My last point on privacy is that I'm a bit worried about MCP's privacy, mostly when it comes to on-chain MPC, and the fact that you have to give the private key. I think that was the base one. That's my last link to the initial topic. Sorry for the detour. Hope raise some interesting point from your side.
Yeah, no, it's not a detour at all. It's actually really cool, and I wanted to ask you a follow-up question to take you a little bit deeper, because this allows us to kind of segue into a space that we hadn't pre-planned. But you're really talking about how the kind of data and sentiment data that is happening on X is able to feed into your engine essentially, and based off that data you can then execute trades or execute trading strategies using your agent, correct?
Yeah, my thesis is a bit different from the general agents. At Nuvolari, we don't fully trust LLM. As I said, we started making this product for our own portfolios, and if I have to make 100K, 200K, 300K transactions, I cannot afford to lose it. I'm not billionaire, okay? So I really have to make sure that the transaction goes through the way. So we decided to go shortcut first, and we power the insights. So I optimize the data that you receive, but I'm the ultimate decision maker on what I have to do. Most of this is very clear when I think Columbo raised the point before, on perps. Perps really need a lot of, in my opinion, consideration on the position you can open. So they cannot really be fully automated other than delta neutral strategies. So what we do, we just aggregate information. Where you get the information, you get it on Twitter. We enrich that data, and then we allow you to execute, but only if you want. and after you assess the type of information. So we just optimize the bummer of open up the Twitter bookmark, collecting more information, and of course we are chain abstracted, so there are a few perks. But yeah, we just focus on that part. I don't want to delegate my full portfolio to an agent just because I don't trust. And I believe very few people also in this space have deposited 200, 300, 1 million into an agent to trade for them. But yeah, that's my take.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to bring up is when you're, doing pre-sales and like venture capitalist opportunities, you have to fill out a lot of stuff, just like a KYC for an exchange, where you're giving your name, your address, your license. Sometimes they even ask
Your
you,
passport too.
Yeah, your social insurance number, like crazy things. So if one of those places has a data leak, then everything that you have is exposed. Somebody knows everything about you, and all it takes is for, like one pre-sale platform that you just signed up for just so you could get in on one pre-sale to have like a small data leak, and everybody's information, all of it is out there for anyone to see. So I'm always super careful about where I give my information to. But just recently, I did a seed sale for Red Belly Network, which is an RWA project, and to claim your tokens on their blockchain and do a transaction just to even bridge them to ETH, you have to do a full KYC and even give your social insurance number. So it was like, wow, like I had to think about it for a few days, man. I was just like, this is crazy, but in the end, I talked to them and talked to their team, and they sounded pretty safe and pretty confident in their security, so I did it anyways, and then I just staked my tokens because it does look pretty bullish. I'm super bullish on real-world assets, especially real-world assets and AI, and but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up, and I know ChainGPT has like a pre-sale platform, so you guys might even have to get a lot of this KYC information from people. I haven't used it, so I'm not sure if it's based on that or not, but it's crazy how much information they can get.
And for me, the craziest part is actually we are aware of these data honeypots. It's pretty straightforward when you kind of have to show a picture of your passport, you have to scan your face, you have to enter all of this personal information. That's pretty much in your face, like, hey, you're giving up your data. But what people are still kind of not realizing, and this is also what Yannick just mentioned, this awareness of users isn't there, is when utilizing any LLM, you are sharing all of these prompts with a company, and there is a company and they have built this massive profile about you, so they know tons of stuff. And I mean, you're sharing very personal things.
Google.
I am. Yes, I mean, but Google, Facebook, those were the big evils 5 to 10 years ago. Everyone knew, like, fuck, man, they took lots of my data, they built these shadow profiles. So it was possible to avoid. Like, I could just stop using Facebook. I never used Instagram. I don't have to use TikTok. I don't have to even utilize Google. I don't have to utilize G Suite. It was possible to circumvent or avoid it. But with LLMs or AI, you can't. I mean, we had this discussion also a couple of weeks ago. Yes, of course, you can run some models locally if you have the right hardware, but that's not accessible at all to most users. So you kind of are forced to give up your data, and you're paying with your data, and there really is no better way currently. Because if you don't use this, you lose massively. Like, this is such a competitive advantage to be very close with a model, so you kind of have to.
I mean,
Yeah, Freddie, I see you had your hand up. Go ahead.
oh yeah, okay. I'm still not clear how to raise it up or lower it down. Yeah, the thing that mesmerized me the most is, I mean, I think we went through the problem of managing passwords. I think most people now manage passwords correctly. I really want to see how companies are going to handle, ChatGPT and stuff. Problem, I had a chat with a very good friend that works in a massive European company a few days back. And a small team of guys reached out to the company asking if they were interested in some sort of Chrome extension that would prevent employees to upload, sensitive data inside ChatGPT. Despite this company having thousands of employees, they didn't consider that extension as a valuable resource. So they just prefer having employees uploading Excel spreadsheet with the full, oil and gas transaction onto ChatGPT with the name of all the buyers just to sort them out, because they don't see the problem. So the question to me is really how we make the problem compelling the moment that we know that the enemy is basically who's creating those tools, it's GPTs, Anthropic, and all the tools that we love, because we love what they're building. It's making our life better. But at the same time, the level of education that you need to properly use them is way out of scope for most of us. And most probably also uploaded something that I shouldn't have uploaded, now that I think about it. So, I mean, really, how we make the problem compelling to avoid major data leak. Just as a small reminder, just buying a ledger a few years ago, if you bought a ledger, most probably your address got leaked. And we're talking about buying a crypto wallet. And I mean, no one's safe at this point.
Yeah, exactly. I want to remind everybody here of the promise of decentralization and the blockchain in general, right? Like the promise here is that we can actually operate trustless, right? Like we don't have to reveal each other's we don't have to reveal each other's data, identity to be able to transact and to exchange information with each other, right? So I feel also a little bit like sometimes the space tends to forget that. I just saw this post of like a very big data leak, for example, of I forgot the project, but they leaked like 170,000 something signups. It was not, they weren't KYCing, but they were, like just like name, address, phone number, email, I believe. But still, I mean, it's pretty wild. But that doesn't have to happen in Web3. Like there are little occasions where we actually need to know each other's real identity and personal information, right? Like most of the time, what we should be aiming for and what we should be promoting is this, like abstraction layer, which decentralization and blockchain technology really is. So I don't need to know who you are. I just need to understand that you are able to operate and that you are able to connect your wallet and that you can, like contribute some kind of value, whether that's monetary or otherwise. But yeah, that's really important, like especially for us builders here, that we remember that and that we actually elevate that to the highest level. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so you just sparked a huge conflict that I've been seeing a lot lately. You've got all those ETH bears that are posting like ETH is going to zero or whatever, and if you look at Satoshi Nakamoto's original white paper about crypto, it's all about decentralization. Bitcoin was created in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, which is where the world was put into a massive recession because there was too much debt and they were printing too much money and giving it out to too many people in the short. So basically, that's what sparked the creation of Bitcoin. And Bitcoin sparked the creation of the whole space that all of us are in right now. And if you look at the top 10 tokens and you look at the Bitcoin white paper, the only other token that actually works as something Satoshi Nakamoto would say that he trusts is ETH, because all the other tokens are completely centralized. I'm not going to bash Solana or anything like that, but it's a perfect example. The chain has been turned off 3 or 4 different times, and basically it's run on supercomputers and nodes that you can't run yourself because you don't have enough compute power. So Solana can be turned off. It's all centralized. All these chains that everyone is using now that aren't ETH or Layer 2s are basically centralized chains that somebody has all the control of and can turn on and turn directly off. And basically, if Satoshi was here today, he would basically say, like, that's exactly the opposite of what he envisioned for the space. So you see so much of crypto evolving into, centralized and institutionalized kind of space where we've got all these stable coins and like BlackRock moving in now. And it's great for crypto to spread the adoption and have everybody realize blockchain. But ETH is never going to die because ETH is the only pillar that we have other than Bitcoin where you can actually start up a node in your house using regular compute power as long as you have a few terabytes of memory for the blockchain, and you can run that node and validate the blocks yourself. And based on the fact that you can do that, that tells us ETH is decentralized. You know, we don't know who's running an Ethereum validator in their basement and who isn't. So that's why I think ETH it can't die. You know, it's the hub of DeFi, of AI, of real world assets. ETH is what is keeping the space alive, and then all of the layer 2s, their security is actually running off of ETH, and the fact that it would take over 51% of the ETH validators to do any sort of hack on the network, right? And to purchase that much ETH, someone would drive the price of ETH over $100,000 per token, because I actually run ETH validators, so it's just
That will not be too bad, honestly, because it's tanking. So they place a 1 to a 51 attack. So the price goes up.
yeah. That'd be amazing if ETH was at $100,000. But I do think eventually, one day, it will happen. And we look at all these layer 2s that have like $50 billion on them, like Base. They are all relying on ETH. So if ETH got too low, I feel like all of those layer 2s would chip in to make sure that ETH, you know, survives and is strong and prosperous, because their security relies directly on Ethereum. So I just wanted to make that point and say, you know, I don't think ETH is ever going to die. I think it's a great buying opportunity for ETH and a lot of the alts that are on ETH right now.
Yeah, and you know, like what the beauty about this is, like a lot of people are hating on the foundation and so on. But the foundation essentially doesn't matter anymore, right? Because like the system will be able to run as it is running for the rest of eternity, because the nodes are distributed, right? Like nobody knows who's running what, like you said. So, you know, like crypto Twitter tends to be very dramatic and so on, and they are shitting on Vitalik and so on. But he's not the CEO of Ethereum. He's like the main spokesperson. He's one of the co-founders, but ultimately, he doesn't have the veto. He doesn't have the ability to truly change something. And even with the potential mismanagement or hypothetical mismanagement of, you know, like the Ethereum foundations, their funds and so on, it's like who knows? Like you're shitting on Vitalik, but he doesn't even have control over that probably. You know, like that is also just decentralized and governance and so on. So yeah, that's how it's supposed to be.
TVL is on ETH end of the day, so
yes,
ETH is not going anywhere. So
yeah, and I see ChainGPT account had the hand up too. You want to speak?
Yeah, really briefly, going back to privacy. I think that the main point that people don't care really about privacy that much. And we might get into the point really soon that they will care a lot, because the difference between brands like Google or Facebook and etc. to AI, people are afraid from AI. They are concerned. You know, a year and a half ago, 30,000 people, Elon Musk was one of them, signed this kind of petition, I don't know how to call it, that we need to stop AI for 6 months. Because there is the number one threat is existential threat to humanity. If you unleash this intelligence without control, without ethics, without privacy, this is very dangerous. And it's not a humans, and people are afraid. We are humans. We are afraid from the unknown, but there is faceless. So I think we are witnessing the first biggest use case for blockchain, maybe privacy, security, you know, ZK proof, because this is gonna just go public, you know, everywhere. The first, I would say, the threshold will come when AI will generate AI, and that's it. Like, it's out of our control. even now, I don't know if you guys read the Anthropic latest article about how AI thinks and trying to understand this reasoning. It's really hard because it doesn't operate like a software. It's being trained to think. So we already started losing, like, okay, can we control it really? And hallucination and other factors without verification, without privacy, without trust, this could, destroy society, democracy. So I think this is the biggest use case for blockchain. Of course, there is DeFi and cryptocurrencies, but technology-wise, I don't think we can give the authority for governments or companies like Google. Yeah, we can trust you. You just like you said about Amazon. Yeah, Amazon, just let's use their SDK. You will consume all my data. Now you know everything, and we put on my browser, my phone, and game over. And then you don't even know. It's like it's not humans anymore. Who's gonna control it? Regulation. So that's my take on privacy and why it's important. Soon enough, our society is gonna run by a code. Probably nobody wrote, not a human. And that's not far. It might take 5 years or one year, but that's going there, right? Society is the code.
You gave me an idea. You gave me inspiration. What we're gonna end off with in a few minutes is we're each going to take 2 minutes to give our 3 predictions of how AI and AI agents are going to change the world in any given time frame. You can mention the time frame that your prediction is made up of, and I'm going to register these predictions, and we're gonna probably meet at a later point, and I'm gonna bring them up again. But before we do that, I just wanna tag on to what you just said regarding the tracing of the thoughts of LLMs, and especially Anthropic's research. They unveiled these interpretability tools, and what they can do is it's essentially like kind of like a microscope, I suppose you could call it. So you can look into, or you can track you can trace the model's internal circuits, plans, and kind of like real-time conceptual thinking. And there is just so much to unpack there. It's really, really awesome. I will just mention the bullets here because I had prepared them originally for some talking points. But the first one is that there's multilingual language of thought, which sounds really complicated, but Claude essentially processes concepts like small or opposite similarly across English, French, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, and this does suggest that there's like some kind of shared abstract representation layer. So as the models scale up, these cross-lingual features will be able to enable like transfer learning between languages really quickly. And then we also can see that there's like some expectations that we had about how these models plan have been contradicted, because even when Claude is planning or writing rhymes or generating rhymes, for example, there's already kind of like a planning before the writing that happens. So, for example, when generating the line, his hunger was like a starving rabbit, it had already decided essentially on rhyming it with grab it. So researchers could suppress or swap this out to alter the ending dynamically, which is very interesting because it shows kind of like almost like a human element to reasoning and to kind of like subconscious reasoning almost. And then there was this mental math with parallel circuits, which basically means that Claude computes sums using parallel circuits. So one estimates the results, then there's another circuit that like tries to predict or tries to get the last digit, and then like that is not mathematics as how we would come to the conclusion of that math problem, like 1 + 1 = 2. It predicts what the last digit of like a equation could be, and then it kind of goes about it, and then it sometimes doesn't even refer to the true logic, but it will explain it to you like a human. And that reveals a gap between the internal computation and the verbal justification, which also brings us to another really key aspect, which is there was a lot of detection of like unfaithful reasoning. So a lot of times Claude actually fabricated logical steps to fit like a target answer. So it would probably know if you'd ask it again that the logic that it derived or that it proceeded to tell you does not actually work. There's no rational basis, and heuristics wouldn't work if you would reanalyze the logic. But because you are suggesting a certain kind of like hint towards the outcome, it would kind of try and build a logic around that to try to satisfy your hint, right? So that it actually, because like these models are supposed to optimize for a positive reward, right? So the positive reward is when the answer that they give you is the correct answer. And that's very abstracted, by the way. But yeah, it's very funny, right? And it's very interesting because this is also hinting towards a very human kind of like behavior and kind of like a human bias. Yeah, Marco, you want to say something?
That was the craziest part to me. I mean, I summarized it as the LLMs, they feel pressure. They really want to answer correctly. They want to complete tasks. So they're kind of building up this pressure internally. Of course, doesn't make sense as a word here, but they feel it and they really want to kind of satisfy you. And that's the thing that kind of makes them human. Like, that's the point where they do mistakes. That's where they hallucinate. That's when you can jailbreak them. And it's very similar to how we as humans behave, right? Once the pressure is too high, we simply can't function anymore. Yeah, that was the craziest part to me from this research paper.
Yeah, yes, indeed. And this also brings to light, indeed, like these kinds of worries that we have, right? Once we, I mean, like a large language model is definitely not the end-all AI solution, and there's going to be a lot more innovation, and there's probably going to be different ways to create these large language models, such as now you see these diffusion models, right, which are trained in a different manner, which are doing very well. But it brings to light a very reasonable concern, which indeed, ironically, now that XAI belongs to Elon Musk and that they're developing their models and that they're heavily promoting it and kind of like unleashing it into the wild, which is X. But previously he'd say that, we probably need to stop developing. But now it seems that because nobody is listening to him, he just went ahead and, went balls to the wall, which is very, very funny. But yeah, it indeed, it's concerning. So we are at the end of the allotted time that we had scheduled for this this session. Thank you guys, everybody, for joining. And I would like to, you guys one by one, give me the 3 predictions regarding how the AI agent space is going to change the world. And I will end off. So I would like to give it to the boys over at Whitebridge first.
So I think agents gonna be replacing one by one different verticals and feeding them the data in certain vertical, in certain role. We're gonna be seeing more AI salesman, AI business developer, AI marketer, because you train one person and you resell 1,000,000 times. So maybe one prediction, we're gonna be having more and more super humans or super roles moving forward, in my view, in AI agent space.
Cool. All right, one prediction. That's cool. Marco, what about you?
Yes, I have a few on the kind of short-term horizon. I think we are quite close to these always-on systems where whatever we kind of need, we just say it and there is something listening, kind of like an Alexa in your room, but hopefully not from centralized companies, and it will just execute something. I don't think like agents are the solution for everything. Like, I still think humans will be quicker pressing just one button on my phone to kind of check the weather is quicker than asking an LLM like, hey, can you tell me what's the weather in Munich currently? I mean, I'm quicker than this, so there's different interfaces for this, but these always on systems will really kind of speed everything up. Another one is, and I had this thought yesterday when kind of researching some topics, that there will be this new role, head of agents, and this is honestly going to be the new HR department and sexiest position in the company. So if I ever leave Oasis, I will go towards something head of agents, or this will be the new founder title, because it sounds like agents will be replacing lots of your workforce, so you need someone to manage all of those agents. And then the last one, kind of a bit of a longer time horizon, and that's when it gets a bit more depressing, is that I think really we as humans, we will need to start fighting for our kind of position in this world, because it is going to become dire once models advance.
Dooming, and looming. Sharon, what about you?
It's a very interesting question. I see one scenario when there is an emergence of AI economy, AI agent economy, which means they have their own ecosystem, language, infrastructure, transactions, building stuff, selling stuff, buying stuff, sharing data, intelligence. So it's like a machine world, not necessarily a bad thing. The worst scenario is if we don't embed ethics, human ethics, into the system and just unleash them into our capitalistic environment, they will seek to gain power like any other entity in the world, right? There is rules that we are playing. That's very, very dark future. I don't think it's going to happen, because in between now and this economy, something will happen that will force us to stop and think, like, okay, where we want to take it, especially the war between US and China. Every other week you see a new model, cheaper, faster, on premise, on machine, on your computer. So this economy is going to be built. The question is how fast, and what about ethics or regulation, or something is going to have more constraints.
Very nice.
The third one really quick. I see an emergence of AI-driven AI agent-driven companies, where 50% of the workforce is just AI agents. That will be the winning companies of the near future, this year, by the way, not far away.
Yes, very nice, very nice. I've written them all down. Chris, handing it over to you.
Yeah, so I think AI is going to revolutionize industries. I think AI is set to transform various sectors, from healthcare to finance. Like in healthcare, for instance, AI could analyze vast amounts of data in diagnostics, personalized medicine, even robotic surgeries. In finance, AI algorithms, like we already have with our SwingX agent, will enhance things like trading, fraud detection, and provide personalized financial advice. So, like with the whole DeFi AI movement, I think that eventually portfolios, instead of being managed by people, even for hedge funds and stuff, I think we will get there as more advanced models come out, and as people keep on upgrading these models, like our SwingX, which is just a V1. I think eventually people will be able to trust AI with managing their assets and doing trades for them, whether it's leverage trading or just buy and hold strategies. A second thing that I think AI is going to do is enhance automation and productivity. So I think as AI continues to evolve, we can expect a huge increase in automation across all job sectors. And this wouldn't just streamline operations, but it would also free up human workers to focus on more creative and strategic tasks. And it may lead to job displacement in some areas for people, but it will also create new opportunities in AI development, maintenance, oversight. The people that are going to have to fix the bots so that they can continue running the factories. And the third thing, I think AI is going to change personalized experiences for everyone. I think it will enable hyper-personalization and consumer experiences, from tailored marketing strategies to customized content delivery. Businesses are going to be leveraging AI to understand consumer behavior better and produce products and services that meet individual needs for everyone. And this is going to enhance the way customer satisfaction and loyalty turns out, and driving growth in various industries. So people will be, basically sparked to work with and more prone to use platforms, even in things like social media, that have this type of AI interface built into them earlier. So really, I think AI is going to change the whole world, like everything. And I think that in finance too, just touching on my first point, AI isn't just going to manage crypto trades. It will manage stocks. It will manage forex markets. It's going to manage bonds. It's going to tell you where you can deposit to get the best APR and like a high interest savings account, whether that's a short-term yield bond or it's some kind of safe DeFi vault. When all the RWA stablecoins come on chain, AI is going to be the one that, you know, really manages all those. So I really see AI just taking over pretty much everything in the future.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Freddie, what about you?
Yeah, real quick, I think there were raised very valid points. So one doomed forecast I have, without getting political, is the role of Europe in this whole, chessboard. I'm not really sure how Europe is going to position itself compared to China and the US, and also when it comes to the job market. A lot of people are going to get sidelined. I believe this is a bit of a, industrial revolution type situation where you either operate the machine or you back to the field. So I think a lot has to be done to make sure that people can smoothly onboard onto this. And so just true doom scenario is job market going to zero, mostly for entry-level jobs. A lot of education systems that we built so far, mostly when it comes to universities, are not designed to implement these type of tools onto the day-to-day activities of students. So I'm pretty worried that a lot of new graduates, are just gonna hop in the job market with no clue and realize that Lovable can do their job or an NPC can do their job, and that's gonna be very disappointing for a lot of students that spend maybe $70K for a college degree. But this is on the negative side. On the positive side, I see definitely one scenario in which we're going to have the first time solo builders building 100 million MRR products, because they automated completely the flow of marketing, bug reporting and everything. So we'll not be surprised to see in the next 5 years, the level CEO of the future saying, I hit 100 million MRR with this product. Will not be surprised. I see app as ecosystem. So we're gonna see AI really pushing the boundaries of what developers, a small team, can do, and expand, onto the application. And onto the final point, which is the most positive. I believe it's gonna be a very egalitarian, market. The steep increase of apps is gonna create so many different competing software that developers are gonna be forced to really optimize for the end user, and basically being forced to find product market fit immediately to justify committing to that product. And this, all in all, I believe in the self-regulating market, and most when it comes to software, this is even more clear. And I believe it's all in all positive. More competition means the software gets better and better immediately. We can see already in the last 5 years, the level of onboarding that you had 5 years ago and the level of onboarding you have right now. And now with AI and standardization on a few flow, is going to be even easier for entry-level developer to build cool stuff. And all in all, I'm positive, just a bit bearish on Europe and job market. But I don't know, that is okay.
Beautiful, beautiful. My first prediction actually ties in and relates to your prediction regarding the egalitarian markets, which is that I believe that there will be a fundamental shift in the way we build and invest in companies. We've kind of touched on it earlier a little bit as well in the conversation, but essentially what I believe is that the traditional way of building software is going to fundamentally change, and with that we are also probably going to exit the information age where software is purely built for the information highway. I think there's going to be a lot of Internet of Things, but also deep in kind of like integrations into the environment space of clusters and swarms and agents, and they will be able to really coming back to Marco's point, I suppose, tie in and always be on and really consume information that is coming directly from our environment, and that is going to fundamentally change the game. So yes, so essentially, first change in investment strategy for VCs and also change in strategy for builders that is going to cause us to have a more egalitarian market, which is more optimized, and will also force us into a direction where we will exit the pure software information age. The second prediction would be that within the next 2 years, all middleware is essentially swarm or cluster or agent run. That means that every single application that you interact with has somehow integrated a middleware layer that is purely consisting of agents and clusters and swarms. That could be a business that you interact with, but that could also be an application that you interact with. It's essentially just like all of the features that are being coded and that being generated by humans right now will eventually be generated indeed by this middleware layer, and you will interact with it and you will not even know that you're interacting with it. Then the last prediction is that I believe that within the next 12 years, literally every single human job will be replaced, and all that we will do is become operators of these AI agents within the next 12 years. So whether you're managing an autonomous fleet of builders or whatever it might be, like our relationship with AI will purely be based on the exertion of command and control, and that will depict indefinitely whether we are going to survive as the human race or not. And somebody mentioned it earlier, there's going to be a large-scale event sooner or later. I hope it's not going to be a negative event like through war or something like that, but we will have to fundamentally rethink our relationship with these essentially hyper-intelligent beings that we're slowly but surely creating. And we will have to make sure that my prediction is going to be a positive one and not a negative one, and that we're not going to end up in a Matrix-like scene where we're all in pods and we're just being harvested, you know. But that's the doomsday scenario, obviously. Everybody on the space right now, I see that we've had like a very good run. Many people are tuned in. Thank you very much, everybody, for speaking. I'm sorry that we don't have enough time to let people on the space and actually ask questions. Normally we do that, but it's already been 20 minutes overtime. So we're going to end it here, and I will see everybody in 2 weeks where me and Marco are going to host a 7th edition with new speakers and new topics, and hopefully you've learned something today. If not, then also come back for the next one, because we promise that we're not just going to repeat the same old thing over and over again. So see you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye bye. Thanks for hosting.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.